Welcome to Social Work Updates. In this video, we are going to talk about development of social casework. Social casework was the first scientifically developed method of social work intervention, beginning in the late 1800s in the United States. These groups had kind visits who helped the poor. They paid personal visits, conducted thorough investigations of the applicants, and provided counsel, admonitions, and financial assistance, and counseling was their primary service. The findings of these workers later revealed that the source of the client's distress was not a character flaw, but rather the social conditions in which they lived. They concluded that the environment had a significant influence on the individual, thus members of the COS agreed to strive for social reform to improve the living and social situations of the working poor. They were successful in many areas, yet despite these gains, many families continued to live in poverty. It was therefore determined that the pleasant visits would work one-on-one with people and their families. During this time, they discovered that people cannot be rehabilitated alone via the use of counseling. Financial assistance was also required to keep the client families afloat during the period of adjustment, retraining, and rehabilitation. As a result, the agencies provided cash aid as well as counseling. Mary Richmond and the casework pioneers began to develop a more scientific approach to assisting their clients in the early 1900s. She saw casework as a trilogy with three parts: the social research, diagnosis, and therapy. Today, this triad consists of 7 steps: the issue identification, data collection, diagnostic assessment, therapy planning, treatment, evaluation, and continuation or termination. Casework development proceeded from this point forward. Several things affected its growth. The early years of casework practice were influenced by concern for the economic and sociological conditions affecting the client's situations. Following that, caseworkers began to look more closely into the emotional and psychological problems of individual clients, influenced by the discoveries of Sigmund Freud and his followers. General hospitals began to recruit social workers to investigate their patients' homes and living situations in order to provide medical therapy. The practice of casework was also impacted by the First World War. Social professionals started collaborating with military veterans and their families. They began to substitute social theories with psychological and psychiatric explanations as a consequence of their real observations and work experiences. They also began to change their techniques of dealing with those in need. During this time, some value axioms and the beginnings of social work's guiding principles formed. The Second World War had an impact on casework practice as well. Aside from monetary concerns, there was an increase in personal problems among clients. As a result, caseworkers began to reconsider the nature of their assistance to people with personality disorders. Counseling was strengthened and broadened to include the client's family. There was a growing recognition that culture affected client behavior. Medical and psychiatric social workers were still in high demand. Because of the multiple variables that surround the individual today, the focus of casework intervention is not on the person alone, but on the person in situation configuration, a realization of the interdependence of personality and environment. American citizens who founded the Associated Charities of Manila in 1917 brought casework practice to the Philippines. Its primary and current concern is to assist people and families in financial trouble. Because of the rise in personality disorders among the urban poor, who make up the bulk of its client, it is also affected to some extent by psychological and psychiatric ideas. However, other factors cause IDEN to rely significantly on material help as its primary service, followed by counseling. Among these characteristics are the pervasive presence of poverty, the occurrence of rare but devastating natural and man-made disasters and tragedies, the existing flawed social and economic institutions, and a slew of other issues that afflict and are also prevalent in many third world nations. For the present casework practice, the person in situation arrangement is also important. It is and always has been family-oriented. And that's it. Thanks for watching. For more social work updates, please watch and like the video, hit the bell and subscribe to my YouTube channel.